All right. So it's 6:33, so I'm going to get started. Tonight, I figured we could paint something that's a little bit more, you know, Halloweenish, Octoberish. So I found this cute little picture of a cat with a witch's hat on. And since we're in Massachusetts, and Massachusetts is where the Salem witch trials happened, I figured that made sense. Little known fact, my ancestor was one of the witches that was killed. So there's that.
Says a lot.
Okay. So you should have things that you need to paint. You should have your 11 by 14 canvas, your 3 brushes, a large, a medium, and a small. Okay, so those are the 3 right there. You should have either a paper plate or I have a disposable palette. So this one's gray, and I like the gray one because it helps you see the different tones that you're mixing better than the white ones.
Yeah, as they show the cover.
Yeah, this one you can get at Jerry's Artorama. It's called the Gray Matters palette, and I can send a link. I can put a link in the group later if you want. And you should have something for your paint water. I have this little bowl here, but you can use a pickle jar, you can use a Tostitos salsa jar, whatever you want.
Coffee mug.
Coffee mug.
Dinner plate.
No, plates don't work so good. And then you should have your paints. I recommend the Lucas Krill paints from Jerry's Artorama because they are good quality and not too expensive. But any acrylic paints will work. You want to have red. Put that over right now. I'm putting it along the top of my canvas so you have room to mix. I keep saying canvas. The top of my palette. So you have room to mix.
Why don't you guys lie down?
My dogs decide to play as soon as I go live. So red, yellow. Kona, do you want to say hi? Here's Kona. Kona is 13 years old. He's the original art dog. And here's Ollie. Ollie, come here. Oh, he's running away. I'll show you later when he comes over. Ollie's the new art dog. That's Ollie. Ollie is 6 months old.
And obviously the 13-year-old dog and the 6-month-old dog don't always get along. Can't understand why.
Blue. My blue's a little...
Hey, do you guys want a cookie? Go up on the poof and we'll give you a cookie. Go up on the poof.
I'm just sneaking this golden black right now because I need to reorder my Lucas black. I use a lot of black, so some of my friends call me the painter of dark. And here's the white. I'm gonna have to reorder the white too. All right, so the colors you should have on your palette, your mixing palette or your paper plate are red, yellow, blue. Why is my blue so liquidy? That's weird. White, black, and pink. My blue's acting weird. It's all liquidy. All right. So the first thing we're going to do with our cat painting, we're going to use our medium brush, and we're going to look for the shapes in the cat. Well, first of all, if you look at where the cat's head is on the canvas, it's about halfway down, and it's about halfway across. So pretty much in the center there, right here, I'm just going to put a little mark so you know, that's pretty much the center. So the head, if you look at the shape of the head, it's kind of like a big, wide, squashed circle.
That would be an oval.
It's not quite an oval. It's like, I mean, I guess technically it's an oval. It's kind of circular. All right, and if you look at the sides, look at how much space there is on each side next to the head. So there's about, if you look at the amount of space, It's about a quarter of the canvas on each side of the head. So if you were to break this up into 4 pieces, it's about 1 section of that. So probably about to here. It's a pretty big head. All right, so we're going to draw that head. You can use any color. I'm using red so you can see it. If you use a lighter color, it's easier to paint over. So I'm drawing that big squashed oval. Now don't worry if it's not perfect, because you can fix it. So I'm noticing mine's a little too squashed. So I'm just going to bring in those edges a little bit till I like the way the shape looks. So just so I don't get confused, I'm going to clean my brush off and put a little bit of white over the parts I don't want. Just so it kind of hides it a little bit more. These are little tricks you can do for yourself to sort of help you see what you're doing. Okay, so now that's the oval for the head, or circle slash oval. All right, now the hat basically is a triangle off of that circle going straight up to the center. So we're going to draw that in there. And it's just about, it lines up with the edge of the head. See that? Completely lines up. So that means we're just going to draw a straight line from each side of the head up to the top. Don't worry about those dents yet. We'll put those in later. And the side of the hat, it actually comes out from the side of, if you were to draw a line through the center of the head, like that, and then divide each half in half, gives you an idea. That's where the hat lines up with the halfway mark. So the hat comes up like this. Kind of like a backwards C. Well, maybe a little more flat on top and rounded on the bottom. Same as this side. Flat on top, rounded on the bottom. That should be your hat shape. Now the hat in the center comes down, so it comes straight across the top of the center, like this. And then the front of it sort of comes down and then up like an S. Like that. Well, mine's a little different. It's okay, it's just a hat. You don't have to make it flop exactly the same. All right, now the body shape. So if we're looking at just the chest of the cat, see how it makes kind of a square?
Rectangle.
A little bit of a rectangle, almost like a rhombus on this side.
A trapezoid.
Because his arm is sticking out.
A rhombus.
Trapezoid, sorry.
A dodecahedron.
So this side comes out at an angle a little bit. Kind of follows the same line as that hat, right? It kind of just comes straight down. This side is more up and down. So this side you're just going to, like that. And it comes across the bottom. Most of it's covered by the paws, though. Since we're going to do the paws next, let's do those next. So this paw is an ovally circly blob directly under the center of that circle, right? And it lines up with the bottom of your dodecahedron, no. Yeah. Rectangle-y trapezoid shape. So that paw is going to go directly under the center, like this. And the other paw is a little bit to the left of that, but in from the corner. So the other paw, and it goes down a little. See how it's lower than that one? So I'm just going to make the next one a little bit lower. There we go. And to connect
But
it...
you're not being accurate necessarily. You're just trying to give yourself an idea where everything is going, right?
Right. Well, you don't have to be like... I mean, this isn't, you know, NASA plans. We're just drawing a cat. So if his paw is slightly to the right or left, it's not a big deal. I'm just trying to get them in the general neighborhood.
Right.
So this paw for his arm, it kind of goes up and then out, almost like, I don't know what you'd call that shape.
An upside down hockey stick.
Yeah, like an upside down hockey stick. It goes up and then across like that. That's his arm. And then this one, it's like almost like a U. It doesn't quite go as far. Like a boomerang. There we go. And, and then the edge of the arm comes out like a sort of rounded, so we're going to make that just kind of go around. There we go. And this one also is rounded a little bit. So it comes up and then around. And then over here we have the rounded shape of his back leg, which actually bumps right into the side of his cheek. So his cheek's here. There we go. Just like that. All right. I know it doesn't look like much yet. All right, so the eyes, let's do the eyes next. The eyes are going to be right on that center line. And if you were to divide the head, so divide it in half, and then each half in half again. Anytime you're doing a face head on, this is how you do it. So the eyes are actually going to be on the center line and on each half of the half. That's where the pupils go. So the eye shape is sort of an oval, but they're slanted up like this. They're not like flat. They're kind of like up. So we're going to make that ovally shape.
Like a cat's eye.
Funny thing about that. And then this one as well is going to go up. They're not perfect yet, don't worry.
Looks like evil eyes.
I know. Well, we're going to fix them when we start putting in our details. The nose is on the line below, and it's just an upside down triangle. Keep in mind, we're just laying this out right now. It's not going to look like this in the end. The mouth goes underneath that. Oh, we forgot the ears. Let's put the ears in. Underneath that hat, we just have little triangle shapes with the corners cut off, basically. So this one, it goes up like this, and it's not quite lined up with the cheek. It goes in a little bit. So we're just going to do that. And same as the other one. All right.
I almost feel like you have too much body between his chin and his paw.
Yeah, I think you're right. You know what it is? It's his arm. His paw is probably a little bit bigger. See that? Because the paw comes out to his eye corner, right there. And the inside edge of his paw comes to this eye corner, right here. So we got that right. And then his arm needs to come up because of that. There we go. Good catch, Scotty. And this paw.
That's his special paw.
It comes up. This paw lines up with the corner of this eye. Okay, right there. That's correct. And this side of the paw lines up with, ooh, it's all the way past the ear. That means it's all the way out here. Needs to be bigger. And the top of the paw lines up with halfway through this paw.
Did he say he had to go potty?
He said downstairs.
Why do you have paint?
Who? Ollie has paint?
He has a tube of paint.
Uh-oh. That's a problem.
Where did you get a tube of paint? Oh, he must have got it out of the trash because it's your...
Oh, it's the empty one.
It's the empty black paint.
Yep.
Come on, Ollie, let's go potty if you want. We'll be right back.
All right, so that was a good catch for Scott. The paws needed to be bigger for sure. All right, now that we have our sketch laid out, I know it looks kind of weird right now. We're going to start by mixing this color, this brownish orangey color. I'm going to clean off my medium brush, and I'm going to start getting the colors together that I need to mix. Don't forget I don't know if I mentioned it at the beginning, but you need a paper towel so you can wipe off your brush. All right. So to mix this brownish color, it's going to be a lot of yellow. So I'm taking a big blob of yellow. It's going to be a little bit of red, so not quite as much red. And a little bit of blue. And I'm going to throw in a little bit of white. So those are the colors you should have right now. Like this. A little bit of red, a little bit of white, a little bit of blue, and a lot of yellow. So we're going to mix those together. What do we get? Make sure you mix them thoroughly. Because if you leave one color out, it's not going to look right. What do we get? Oh, look, it's that brownish orangey color for the cat. Awesome. Okay. We're going to take that color and we are going to paint his face. We're going to do the shadows and highlights later. Go around the eyes. Doesn't have to be perfect. I'm going to add those details after. Just right now we're just trying to put a background color in for his face. He's starting to look like a cat already. Sorta. All right. He looks a little odd, but that's because we don't have any shadows in yet. Now his body down here, it looks similar, but it's got a little bit more white and black in it. So I'm going to take a scoop of white, put it on the side, and a little scoop of black and put it there. See how I have that? And I'm going to take a little bit of the brown I already made and mix it in. So we're making a new color. It's kind of gray. I think it needs to be a little bit lighter. I'm going to add more white. So basically I'm just comparing it to the photo. All right, so I'm going to check this color by holding up my brush. It still looks way too dark. So when I make a color that's too dark, I basically leave that blob there and I start with what's on my brush in a new spot, because otherwise you're going to be adding tons and tons of paint trying to lighten that up. Put some more brown in that. So I used what was on my brush from that gray, and then I put a little bit more white and brown in it in a new spot. And let's check that. Much better. There we go. I'm just holding my brush up to the photo so I can see what it looks like. All right, so we're going to take that new putty color and we're going to paint his body with that color. Make sure you paint over the edges of those lines that you have from your sketch. Just leave a little bit of a line so you can see where it goes, but you definitely want to make it as thin as you can. You don't want to leave like this really wide, like on mine it would be a really wide red line. You want it to be almost invisible, but just enough that you can tell where it is. On his paws, they connect. then you want to paint over that. All right, keep going. It's a lot of stuff to fill in here. Like I said in the first class, if you were with me for that one, for me, this is the boring part of the painting. It's kind of like you have to do it, but it's not a lot of fun. You're just kind of like blocking colors in, putting big chunks of color down. It's not really pretty yet, doesn't look like anything yet. I don't know. You have to do it, but it's not the part that's fun for me. I like doing the details, watching the painting come to life. That's more fun. All right, so here's what we have so far. Don't worry if your outline is showing through a little bit, that's okay. We're going to paint over it anyway. All right, so far, here's what we have. Looks kind of like a weird blobby thing. All right, now I'm going to do the black on the hat. So we're going to wash our brush off, medium brush. Press your bristles down on the bottom of the water so you get all the paint out. And then wipe it on your paper towel and then clean it again. You're going to get all that stuff out of the brush. All right, now, I know the hat isn't truly just black. We're going to add in all those highlights and stuff later. For right now, though, we're going to paint it just black. Just to get that base color down. And afterwards, we'll go over it. And we'll add in the highlights and we'll make that little crooked point at the top and do all our details. This is a really good way to lay your paintings out. Find the shapes, fill them in like blocks, and then go back and do your details. If you get hung up on the details too soon, it can get very confusing. It can get, you might notice something like, how we noticed the paws were too small, we had to change them. Imagine if I had already put all the details in, and I had already put the little toes and the little fur and everything, and then I had to move them or change them. I'd have to repaint all that stuff. So this way, it kind of saves you from that. You're going to notice if things are the wrong size right away, and all you have to do is repaint that blocky shape. It's not like you have to repaint all the details or anything. All right. How's that? So, like I said, you're just blocking it in. It's not perfect yet. Very cool. Now, before we start moving on to the details, we should decide what we want to do for the background. I could just copy that background and put in that wood floor that he's laying on and then just white behind him. But it's kind of boring. I want to make it a little bit more like Halloweenish. So I'm thinking I'm going to make him outside at night, maybe with a full moon or something behind him. Or maybe a crescent moon. Crescent moon might look better. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch to my big brush. Make sure you put your medium brush in the water because you don't want that paint to harden on it. Either that or you can just clean it off right now. Maybe I'll just clean mine off right now. And that way you can leave it out of the water. But if you have paint on your brush and you just leave it sitting around, it only takes about 5 to 10 minutes for your brush to get rock hard. If that happens, don't throw your brush away. get some rubbing alcohol and let it soak in the rubbing alcohol. And then you can use your fingers and sort of like pull all that paint off of it. The rubbing alcohol disintegrates the paint and it makes it really soft. And so you can wash it with soap and water after you use the rubbing alcohol. And usually you can bring the brush right back again. Okay, so I'm going to use my big brush, and I'm going to use my blue paint, but I'm going to put just a touch of, let's do a little blob of pink. So I'm using about this much pink. Hopefully you guys got pink. If not, you can just skip the pink step. But I'm putting a little bit of pink in there, maybe a little bit more pink, because I want it to look kind of purpley blue. You know, like that night sky, purpley blue. And I'm going to put a little tiny bit of black, but just a little bit, because black is so strong. So I'm just putting that little tiny bit of black. And just, the black will darken it down, so it's not so, you know, 1980s scrunchy hairband look. You want it to look a little bit more mysterious and Halloween-y. All right, put a little too much black. I'm gonna add some blue back in. But basically this is just like, when you get to a color you like, use it. This is personal taste at this point. I'm basically trying to make a dark purpley blue sky. So I'm gonna add that up there. I'm just trying to go right up. I'm sort of dabbing it on next to the hat because I want to get it right up next to the black, but I don't want to like paint over my hat either. Keeping it nice and thin so there's no blobs. I'm stopping right around, like halfway down the cat's back leg there. So halfway down is pretty much a good spot to end the sky. And you want it to be at the same level on the other side. So I almost pretend to draw a line across and then I continue it when I have blank canvas. Ollie, do you want to say hi finally? All right, here's Ollie. He is the new art dog. He's only 6 months old. Hello, Ollie. Ollie, you smell like you need a bath. I think he needs a bath.
Yeah, I think he does too.
Do you need a bath, Ollie? Maybe after class tonight, we'll give you a bath. He's just a puppy, so he gets into everything. He eats everything, too. All right. So next Friday, for next Friday's class, I'm actually going to be driving down to Florida to get my RV. But I'm still going to hold the class. But we'll be someplace, I don't know, maybe Maryland, maybe...
Oh, we'll be further down than that.
We will?
Might be in Florida.
Might be in Florida for next Friday's class?
Or maybe Georgia, somewhere in there.
That would be cool.
Yep.
So next Friday, we're not going to be in Massachusetts. We're going to be someplace cool. We'll have to think of something neat to paint.
Maybe there'll be something on the road to paint.
Maybe, yeah. Keep an eye out. So make sure you follow the blog. I'm going to blog about it. And you guys can sort of read along with what's going on and see some pictures and stuff. Again, I'm just tapping this purple right up against the edge of the black.
Wouldn't you normally do the background first?
You could, but in this situation, the cat was just such a solid shape. It was easy enough to paint around him.
Okay.
If it wasn't like let's say we were doing like a tree branch.
Right.
You'd want to do the background first because
Right.
painting around all the little tiny tree branches and everything would be just a pain in the butt. So, all right.
Of course, Ollie has to
playing
play
with his toy. How cute.
Timing's lousy.
Alright, I'm going to clean off my big brush. And for the ground, I'm going to put in some nice grass, I think. Oh, should I do grass or leaves? Maybe I'll do grass with leaves on it. How's that?
Sure, why not?
So we'll start with grass. So wipe off your brush, clean off your brush. He's just running around with his ball. He's so cute. If your brush isn't clean the first time, do it again. That's why I'm doing it a million times here, because I want to make sure all that purple is off my brush. All right. Now, we're going to take our brush, we're going to take our big brush, take a little bit of the blue if you have any there left. If not, squeeze some more out. Mix it with the yellow. So mine is like a, it's like I don't know, an unripe avocado green, I guess. I guess that's what you'd call it. It's like a grass green. So I'm just going to fill in the bottom with that green. Don't worry, we'll make it look like grass later. Right now we're just going to fill it in so it's solid. Paintings are done in layers. So this is just our first layer. Get some more paint on your brush. If you're having trouble going around the paws with the big brush, feel free to use the medium or the small brush. But you want to use the largest brush possible that you're comfortable using, so you're not sitting there all day with like a tiny brush trying to paint a large area. All right. There we go. There's our grass. Right now it looks like green carpet. But it will look like grass later, I promise. Alright, I'm going to clean off my brush. I'm going to use a new paper towel because that one's getting a little... Holly's having fun over there. Alright. We're going to move down to our medium brush again. Medium brush. Now let's put in these eyes so that he doesn't look so like weird with these red staring eyes at us. First we're going to use black with your medium brush. We're going to basically just fill in that shape with the black paint.
Why do you guys have to argue the minute we go live?
I was thinking about sharing this live to my Facebook group for Liz Boston.
Mm-hmm.
Just so people could see what it's like and see what the classes are like. I couldn't figure out how to share it there, though. I don't know if you can.
I might be able to. Which Liz Boston group do you want to share to?
Liz Boston Art Studio group.
Liz Boston Art Studio.
What are they arguing about? I feel like we should have a doggy cam on them.
Yeah, no kidding, huh?
Alright, so basically I'm just trying to make these eyes even, same size, so that they line up here in the center. You want them to have the same, the corners of the eyes should be at the same height. You don't want one eye up here and one eye down there. You don't want to have one giant eye and one little eye. So look at your eyes, make sure they're generally the same size. Make sure they're generally in the same spot on the face. Those are important things. Now I'm going to do the nose. I'm going to just do it black first because he does have a little black outline on his nose. The top of the nose is a curve. And then the bottom, so it's a triangle, the bottom kind of curves in a little bit. I might actually just leave it as an outline because we're going to paint the center pink anyway. Mine already has a little pink in there, so it looks pretty good. All right, make sure that top of the nose is wide enough. He's kind of got a wide little nose there. He's got a wide kitty nose, so you can smell more stuff.
I think you have to wait until after you're done with the broadcast.
That's fine. We can do that too. All right. Now what I'm doing is I used what was on my brush. I'm taking a chunk of that brown that we had made and mixing it into the black, just the black that was on my brush. So I'm getting this sort of a dark brown color. And I'm going to use that color for the stripes on his head. See those stripes? So there's 3 of them down the top here. There's one in the middle. Comes down just above his eyes. Mine might be a little long. And then the 2 side ones are a little bit shorter. Just like that. And the other place that he has this sort of darker color is, see right here, coming down from his eyes and then under his eyes. So we're going to put that into, sort of curves down and then underneath kind of curves up. Pay attention to the shape. And there's a space between the gray and his black eye. And on this side, same idea. And we're going to just bring it up. Kind of starts wide and then goes to a point. He also has this gray on each side of his nose going up. And he has some little gray lines here above each eye. Put those in. Don't worry if they're not perfect. He has 2 more here. These are a little bit more at an angle. Yeah, don't worry if it's not perfect though. This is fur. In cat fur, he's got one on each cheek here. So we're going to do those. They kind of curve down. Cat fur is always different on every cat. So you don't have to worry about it being like super, super perfect. Now he's got some right here where his whiskers are. Put those in. He's got some right here where his ears meet his head. And this one's a little bit wider, almost like a triangle. Put those in. All right, now I'm going to use what's on my brush. Take a giant scoop of white, like giant scoop of white. Find a clean spot on your palette. If you don't have one, start a new piece or use a new paper plate. Mix that together, what's on your brush and the giant scoop of white. And look what I got. I got this light gray color. All right, and that color, just want to wipe a little bit off my brush. I don't want it to be too blobby.
Blobs are bad.
Blobs are evil. All right, so we're going to take that color, and you see how he has that a little bit on his nose, like right in the middle here. I'll put that in. I know it looks weird right now. Don't worry. We're going to make this look awesome. Remember, we're doing this in layers. This is just the first layer. So his gray comes out to the side of his nose a little bit. So I actually painted right over that line I had there. I'll put it in again after. And where else is the gray? Let's look. He's got the gray right here on the top of his little thigh. Is that his thigh or his knee?
His knee.
And he's got the gray on his paws. So we're going to put that down here. Put the gray on his paw. There you go, little kitty. Have some gray. And he's got some gray on this paw, but not on the whole paw, only on the inside edge, like a highlight. So I painted half of that paw with the gray. And he's got some gray on this side of his body, definitely like a highlight. Now this side of his body right here is a little bit of a curve, so I'm bumping that out a little bit. And then down here it scoops in, and then his elbow pops out again. See how I did that? It's like a curve in, out. I'm just going to paint that gray in towards the middle a little bit, but not all the way. Just up to under his eye area, painting that gray. Because it's just a highlight. All right, now, he has some on his face, a highlight here as well, but his face is brighter. It's not gray, it's more like a white. So I'm going to take another big blob of white. It's okay if you have a little gray in your white. So I took a big blob of white, and I'm going to take some of that gray I already had and mix it in, but not all of it. I'm just using one little half of it. So I have like a lighter gray and then a darker gray here. I think I'm going to add a little more white to that because I want it to be really bright. Alright, now, again, wipe some off so it's not blobby. And we're going to take that and we're going to put some under his eye here. He's kind of cute. One little eye with the white. It goes under his nose on this side. Kind of goes out a little bit under that whiskers line. And it goes right on his cheek, under that dark gray area, all the way to the edge. It goes above this line on his cheek. So I'm just looking at the photo and trying to follow the shapes. That's basically what I'm doing. I put a little bit on the nose part because I think that's a little bit brighter there. Oh, and it does kind of come down here a little bit. All right, looking good. I think I'm going to put some of the brighter gray down here on his paw. See how this is really lit up? So I'm going to do that right on the edge of his paw here. I'm going to just sort of brighten that up a little bit. Because it kind of looks like it's supposed to be a really bright highlight. There we go. That looks better. And I'll put a little bit on his toes here, just a little bit. Cool. Oh, and right here under his eye, it looks like it comes down a little. Just a little point to that end. There we go. Don't worry about those little black lines. We'll add them in later. The black with a tiny, tiny paintbrush. All right, awesome. So now he's starting to look creepy. A good Halloween cat. All right, I'm washing off my medium brush. Make sure you get all that paint off your brush. I feel like we need Halloween music.
Really?
No?
Okay.
It's fine.
You want Halloween music?
All right. Now, I'm going to mix this yellowy color. See how his chin is like this sort of glowing yellow color? I'm going to rip off a piece here and get some more mixing area on my palette. All right, now I need more yellow because I already used up all my yellow. So put some more of that out. And I'm going to put a little bit more white because that white I have over there is gray in it. I don't want to make this color dark. And I'm going to use my pink because pink is great for mixing warm orangey tones. If you want your orange tone to look warmer, add pink. All right, so I'm going to use a big blob of yellow, a little bit of pink, mix them together. See how we're getting this nice orange tone here? Really bright. And we're going to add a little bit of white to that because his fur is kind of creamy looking, creamsicle looking. All right, so this is the color we want. It's kind of like a tangerine. And I'm going to use my medium brush. I'm going to just try to get the shape of that chin. See how it kind of bumps down, almost like a little oval-y shape that's sort of cut in half. So I'm just going to put his little chin in. Cute little kitty chin. And then on each side it kind of goes up just a skinny little line. If your paint is see-through, just let it dry, put it on thin, let it dry, and do another coat when it's dry. Now on each cheek he seems to have, right here, he seems to have that color as well with some dark colors over it. So I'm going to put in the light color first. It's just sort of like an oval-y shape. Actually kind of bumps right into the bottom of his jaw. And on this side, he's got some too, but it's sort of closer to the bottom edge of the cheek. So I'll just do the bottom part. And we'll add in that darker color later with the brush, with a small brush. He also looks like he has some light orange here above his eye. And he's got some light orange over here. A little bit next to his eye. Again, I'm just looking at the picture and trying to copy the shapes I see. Now over here he has some, which looks like it's right here somewhere. He's starting to come together. Okay, so now he needs this darker brownish orange here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take a little bit of our orange, our tangerine, put it over here. I'm going to add a little bit of red to it, just a little bit. And then I'm going to add a little bit of blue. So like this. And now I'm going to mix those together. Make sure you keep wiping all the paint off your brush as you mix, because it keeps building up on your brush. All right. So now I'm going to take this brownish color, similar to his head color actually, and we're going to put it right underneath his chin here. What's Ollie playing with?
His bone.
Actually, I'm going to bring this color down because see how it goes all the way down to the top of the paw? I'm going to bring it down that far. It doesn't really go over this side because this is where the highlight is. So I'm going to only bring it to where that highlight is, and then I'm going to I kind of blend it a little, but I'm just sort of stopping it right there.
Is that kind of like, stop,
Yeah.
hammer time?
It looks kind of like a bib.
Yeah, it does.
All right, now I'm going to wash off my brush. Wipe off the paint. Wash off your brush again. Wipe off the paint. It'd be cool if we could do the next week's class outside somewhere. We have to have enough light though.
Yeah, that'll be a problem.
Well, depending where we are, there might be some place. All right, so.
Oh, we can make light happen.
Yeah, but you need light on what you're painting. I mean, like doing like a plein air type thing.
Oh, I don't know if we'll have enough light to do that. Not at 6:30.
Yeah.
Probably be dark by the time you're done.
Yeah, definitely.
But it still would be cool to be someplace kind of different, doing a...
That's true. Sorry guys, I didn't tell you what I was doing. Okay, so I took a little bit of black. I took a little bit of black and I mixed it into the brown a little bit right here. So I'm getting this like blackish brown. That's the technical term, blackish brown. And we're going to put, with our blackish brown color, we're going to put in this stripe going around. Now look at the stripe. It's sort of curved. See that? It's straight across the chest and then it curves on each side up. We're going to put that in. So it's straight across the chest, curves on each side up, and we're also going to brush down across like this because it'll look more like fur if you have some jagged edges there. Don't want it to be too perfect or too smooth. It will not look like a cat. All right, and he has another one right up here around the edge of his face. So we're going to put one right there. And where else does he have it? He has one right down here, sort of like a V.
It's a cool looking cat.
He is neat.
Like a tiger stripe.
Yeah,
almost.
he is like a tiger stripe. Now down here, I'm actually going to bring the color down in between the paws because it's like a big shadow down there. So I'm just going to, there's one that goes right over his paw right there. I'm going to put that one in.
That one actually has a V shape on the end.
It does. Let's add that little V shape. And this side, I'm just going to bump that right up to the paw here. So that's just like a big shadow right down in between his paws. The other thing we can do while we have this brownish black color is we can add some shadow up here on his head. So I'm going to just lightly brush some of that blackish brown over the stripes where they meet the hat, just a little bit, just to make them look like they're in shadow. And he has a little hook here on his ear. It's almost like a cat earlobe. So we'll put that in. Little cat earlobe. What else do we need to do? Oh, the bottom half of his thigh is this brownish color. We'll put that in. I think it has a little more brown in it though, so I'm going to grab a little more brown on my brush and just try to blend it right there on the canvas. I'm blending it. All right. It's coming along nicely. All right, now over here I see some stripes that we missed. Let's do that blackish brown color. And we're going to put some stripes in here. He's got one right at the edge of his wrist. He's got another big one sort of halfway down his arm. And one near his elbow, but it's not quite as tall. And he's got a couple little short ones here in between.
And don't forget in between his fingers.
Yeah, we haven't gotten there yet.
Are they fingers or toes?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure there's a cat name for that.
Digits.
All right, so now we have to put a different color brown here on his paw. So I'm going to clean off my brush. Because you can see on his paw it looks a little bit brighter, like an orangey brighter. So we're going to make that color. All right, I'm going to take my orange, the tangerine color, put a separate little blob, take some pink, mix it in. Makes a nice warm, almost a coral. And then I'm going to darken it down by adding a little tiny touch of blue. Just a little tiny touch of blue. And I'm going to put that in. Just enough to sort of take the brightness out of it. Now I have like a salmon color. And I want it to be a little bit darker. So I'm going to put a little bit more blue in there. Just another. Add the blue very gradually, because if you don't, it'll take over. Just add it until you're ready. All right, so I just darkened that down a little more. Now it looks kind of like a dirty salmon, or like salmon skin. That dirty, dark, salmon-y color. All right, so we're going to put that right here on his paw. I actually feel like it should be brighter, so I'm going to add some more pink to that. Sometimes it looks different on your canvas than it does on the palette. So that's okay, you can tweak it. Yeah, when I add more pink to it, it looks better. You want it to be a different color than his body. You want it to be a little bit brighter. Because it's in front. All right, now, where else do we use this? Oh, you know where else he has this color? He has this color in his ears. So I'm going to put this color right up here in his ears. Oh, see, it's not bright enough. I'm going to add a little bit of white. Just a little bit of white. Just to lighten that up a little. I'm going to put that in his ears. There we go. Now we can see it. You want to be able to see it. Very cool. Oh, you know what else we forgot to do? His mouth. Take a little tiny blob of red and add it to that corally color here. And we're going to do his little mouth. Cute little mouth. It's kind of like a triangle, like an upside down. It's a right side up triangle. It's really wide. Oh, there's
a bit there. Turn your head. No, you're still going there.
Weird.
It came back kind of pixely.
Huh, maybe it's just a bad signal.
Yeah.
All right, so now.
Yeah.
How is it now? Are we connected?
It's showing you with a picture on your screen.
Good.
And
all right. So I'm going to take the brown. So basically I used red, yellow, and blue to make this brown. I'm going to add the brown on the edge of the ear and then the bottom of the ear here. And this ear actually has some brown here on the top edge. This one I think does too, right here in the corner. And let's add brown anywhere else we see it. A little bit under the eye, right? Just a little bit. We're gonna have to cut some of this part off, I think. It's a little too round. It's okay. Anytime you paint, you're gonna find you have moments where you have to fix things. All right, this paw has some here on the toes. A little bit on this side. And this paw has a little bit on the toes, mostly near the bottom of the toes. Awesome. Oh, let's put it in the eyes, but you know what? The eyes in the picture look like a brown. I'm gonna change my eyes. I don't want brown eyes. I want my cat to have green eyes. You can change your cat's eyes to any color you like. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're going to put some white where the eyeballs are going to go. That way the color that you choose will show up really nicely. So I'm going to put a nice big round, well, roundish. It's sort of cut off at the top. Roundish shape, like an egg, inside the eye. It goes almost to the edges.
You're finally back to a clear picture again.
Oh, good. All right, and now this eye, same thing. I'm going to put that big egg shape in there with the white so that the color you pick will show up nice.
Now you have Psycho Cat.
You just wait. These eyes are going to be awesome. Okay, once you put that white in there...
I can't believe my eyes.
Just going to let that dry a little bit. I'm going to clean off my brush, get the white off my brush. All right, now to make really nice green eyes, we're gonna use new blue, so I don't have any like weird colors in it. Oops, I just got blue all over my iPad. That was good. Life of an artist. I'm gonna take a big blob of yellow. I'm gonna take some blue, just a little bit of blue, not a lot. I'm gonna mix those together. So I want more yellow than blue. And I'm getting like this lime green color. That's what I want. Nice bright lime green. So I can give him nice bright cat eyes. All right, let me just check and make sure that's dry. It's not quite dry, so I'm going to wait just a second. What else can we do while we're waiting? Let's see. I'm going to... While we're waiting, oh, you know what we can do while we're waiting? We can use that green that we just made, and we can put in some grass. So on the grass, what you want to do is press your brush on the canvas up and down, like perpendicular, and then flick it up. So you get these little... And the other thing you can do is add a little tiny drop of water to the paint, just to make it a little bit less sticky. You don't want it to be like runny, but you don't want it to be sticky. Let's just loosen the paint up a little bit, and then you should be able to make some nice blades of grass. Look at that. Now he's sitting in the grass. He looks awesome. Don't be afraid to make it go over the paws a little bit. That's what grass does.
Maybe in your world.
Now the other thing I'm going to do is grab some yellow and white. Mix those together. So it's like a lemon yellow color. And put a little water in that as well. And I'm going to put some grass in that's brighter. It's okay if it mixes with the green grass. It's kind of what you're looking for. These are just going to be like highlights. Just doing the lemon yellow color near the front of the grass. You don't want it to go too far back because this is going to give it a sense of depth. If it's brighter near the front, darker near the back.
Happy grass.
Happy grass. Happy trees. Oh wait, there's no trees.
In your world, you could put in a tree.
If you want, you can. Okay, let me check the eyes again. Okay, eyes are ready. So I'm going to clear off my brush, clean it off in the water. I'm going to take my lime green, put it on my eyes. Well, not my eyes, my cat's eyes. I'm going to make a little bit more lime green because I used some of it on my grass. And it's disappearing. All right, here we go. So now, what I'm going to do, right up to the edge of that white, you're going to paint the color. I chose lime green. You can do whatever color you like. Now,
That's a creepy looking cat with gangrene.
he looks really cool.
Yeah.
All right, now I'm going to clean off my brush again. We're getting into more details now, so if you feel more comfortable, you can use your small brush. I'm still using my big one for this step, but if you want to, feel free to switch. I'm going to use my black paint, and I'm going to put in that big pupil. Goes right to the top, but you want to leave some green on the edges. It goes right to the bottom, but leave some green on the edges. Just try to make sure it's round. Well, oval.
Roundish.
Roundish. Ovalish, roundish. Like his head. Ovalish, roundish. Alright, that's looking awesome. Okay, now I'm finally switching to my small brush. Yay! Small brush. Okay. We're going to take the white paint, just a little bit of white paint on your small brush, and I'm going to put a nice like circular shape right at the top left corner of his eye. Now in the other eye, you want to put it in the top left corner as well. That way he looks like he's looking straight at you, not googly-eyed. If you put the white dots in different spots on his eyes, he looks like he's cross-eyed. I don't know, maybe you want a cross-eyed cat. That's up to you. All right, now I'm cleaning off my brush again. I'm going to take the black again, and I'm going to just touch up the outline around his eye. So he's got a black line where his eyelid meets his eye. Very skinny one. It kind of overhangs his eyeball a little bit. And then he's got a black line that goes right down around the bottom of his eye. Starting to look good. Now this eye needs the same outline. So we're going to do the black outline on his eyelid. I keep saying his. I guess mine's a boy cat. Yours can be whatever you want. That's what's great about painting. You can make it anything you want. This is the fun part. This is the part of the painting I like. Putting in all these little details and nuances that make it unique. And you can make it your own and use your imagination. Alright, so I'm going to get some more black here. And I'm going to put some more. Make sure that bottom outline goes right along the bottom edge of his eyeball. And then it comes down in the corner a little bit. Looking good. All right, now on his nose, he's got two little bumps on the bottom for his nostrils. We're going to repaint the pink though, because that pink is a little, on mine at least, it looks a little fluorescent. I don't know about yours. I'm going to find my broadcast here on Facebook so I can see it.
He could go in the front of Santa's sleigh with that fluorescent nose.
I know, it's really bright. Here it is. The eyes are looking great, huh? All right, so I'm going to take the red, a little bit of white, and I'm going to put a little tiny touch of blue in it. Just a tiny bit, not enough to turn it purple. If it's purple, add more red. I want it to be kind of like that salmon color we had before. All right, so I'm going to use this sort of purpley, not purpley, I don't know what to call it. Like a rose. It's like a rose color, like rose pink. We're going to take that color, it's right here, and we're going to paint the nose with that color. So I'm going to paint that with a little tiny brush. Oops, my black mixed in. So paint over that black. If you make a mistake, you can paint over it. Don't freak out.
No freaking out in art class.
No freaking out. Still has black in it. Paint over that again.
Just let it dry.
I know, I might have to just let it dry. I'm being impatient.
Use your patience.
Yeah, you really need patience when you're painting.
Do you need to borrow my patience?
I might. Alright, that looks better. Good. Now I'm going to take some more red and mix it into a little bit of that rose color. And I'm going to just put some darker lines on the edges of his mouth here. Just on the edges. And clean my brush off. I'm going to use the tangerine orange. I'm just going to touch up the bottom of his mouth because I think I made it a little too low. Just going to bring it up a little bit.
You gotta make sure he's got a cute little chinny chin.
Yeah, he needs this cute little chin. Awesome. Okay, now, this is the really cool part. We're going to put in some fur. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix up, actually going to take a big chunk of this brown that we made earlier, and I'm going to put some white in that. Just a little. Looks like evenly mixed. And I'm going to put some black in that, but not a lot of black, just a tiny little bit. So we're going for right here. So I took some of this brown, took some white, and I took a little tiny little sesame seed sized chunk of black, put it in. So we're getting like a rose gray, rosy gray color. I'm going to add some water into that to make it not so sticky. You want it to be kind of like ink. You don't want it to be really runny like water, but you want it to be kind of like thin enough that it spreads nicely, but thick enough that it doesn't run. You're gonna take that.
Want it to walk.
Yep, you're gonna take that on your little tiny brush, and we're gonna put in some fur. We'll start down here on the body. I'm just gonna put short little strokes that go down. Don't make them too perfect. If they're too perfect, it'll look like wallpaper. You want them to stick off the edge a little bit. Because cats don't have smooth bodies. They have furry, fluffy bodies. Let it go over your black stripes a little bit, but not enough to cover them. You just want it to sort of overlap slightly. I'm going to move this piece, I think. There. I keep leaning on it.
What am I supposed to do with it?
Now, let's see. See how the brown is showing through in between each little stroke of fur? That makes it look like it's got dimension or 3D. You know, like when you look at fur and it sort of glistens. Now over here, be careful. You don't want to do it on, you want to stop it like at the edge of the body. Don't go right over his leg. And also, don't go right over his arm.
And also too.
Now how we're going to do the arm, we're going to actually change the direction of the fur. So instead of going like down at an angle like this, we're going to make it sort of curve around. So it looks like the fur's curving around his arm. Kind of look like parentheses. I haven't done anything to the paws yet. Now this side we're going to curve around a little bit too. Is he looking furry?
Yep.
Now let's do his face. So up here on his face, we got to pay attention to the direction of the fur. Up here it kind of goes like this, out that way, and then out this way, and then straight in the middle. So that's what we're going to do up here. I'm making it go right off the side of his face so he looks fluffy. I'm going right over these stripy marks. I am stopping at his cheek. I don't want to put the fur over his cheek. And I'm stopping at that shadow under his eye. I don't want to put the fur on the shadow. You want to sort of preserve that shadow and preserve his cheek. But you can go down his nose a little bit more. Just stay away from his eyes. Oh, he's looking so fluffy. He's cute. Okay, now we have to put those dots in for his whiskers. So cleaning off my brush. I'm going to put some more black out because I just threw away that piece of palette paper that I kept leaning my arm in. Alright, I'm using my little brush with black paint. I think I'm actually going to mix it with some brown because I don't want it to be too black. So I'm going to take some brown. I already had some mixed. If you don't have any brown mixed, it's red, yellow, and a little tiny bit of blue. You can mix your own brown again. I'm mixing some brown with some black. So I'm getting this really dark brownish black here. I'm going to add a little bit of water to it because my paint's getting a little bit sticky. You don't want it to be too sticky when you're painting. All right, I'm going to take that and I'm going to add in the whiskers marks. So they're kind of like right here along this line. There's little dots. And then underneath that, there's some dots. And underneath that, there's some dots. But they get a little bit smaller as they go down. And on this side, same thing. It's funny how cats have these little dots, because I don't really notice them. It's like we take them for granted. But they're there. Little weird little dots. Okay, now clean off your brush. Now I'm going to take a big blob of white and some of that tangerine color and mix them together. So you should get this really light, yellowy, whitish color. Add a little bit of water to it, just so it's not too sticky. Bet you can't guess what I'm going to do with this. Whiskers? Yes, I'll use it for whiskers, but not right now. I'm waiting for those dots to dry before I do the whiskers, but I'm going to put some fur on his chin, his cute little chin. So the fur on his chin kind of goes down and out. I love making little furry animals. It's so much fun. Fur is fun to paint. Okay. I'm also going to put a highlight on the edge of his ear here. And I'm going to get the other ear. This one kind of goes along the top too. This one kind of goes under the hat so you don't see the top. Has a little bit of a curve to it on the bottom. Awesome. And, oh, he has some fur in his ears. So what we can do is actually mix what's on your brush into the tangerine a little bit so it's not quite so bright. So it's more tangerine-y, less white. And we can put some fur in his ears. The fur in his ears kind of goes like to the side. Starts at the bottom, goes to the side. And I'm going to touch up the tangerine above his eye. I'm going to add a little bit to this side, but not a lot. I'm basically touching up at this point. I'm looking for where I had the tangerine before, and I'm just touching it up. All right. My whisker dots are still a little wet, so I'm going to give them a little bit more time. While we're waiting, let's put in the toes. He needs toes. Pull this forward a little bit.
Digits. Phalanges, I believe they were called.
All right. I'm going to use my dark brown. All right, so now the toes, so like on this one, it's just a slight curve right down the middle with dark brown. And then the next one is next to that. And this one. So you can only really see three lines for these toes. And on this one, the curve is a little bit more this way. Awesome. And I'm going to just mix that with some white so that I can, what's on my brush, mixing with some white so I can put a little fur on his toes. Just put a little, just a little bit. I'm not going all the way up. I'm keeping it close to where his toes are. So I'm not putting the fur like on the top of his foot. I'm just putting it down on the front where the toes are. And I'll put some on this foot. That one's harder to see. But it's kind of like that in the photo too, so that's okay. All right. How's he looking? Good? I'm going to take some of this lighter gray that I just made, add a little more water into that to make it looser. And I'm going to just put some little tiny fur on his back leg, just sort of sticking out a little bit, sort of angled downward. Just so he doesn't look like his back leg is bald. Especially when you have fur everywhere else on your body. You don't want to miss a spot.
I missed a spot. Did that happen?
Cool. So now his back leg looks furry. He's looking really cute and furry. I'm going to add just a little bit of fur here so that his paw looks a little more furry. So basically, you guys, if you see a spot that you think needs some fur, go for it. Add that fur in. Okay, now I'm going to work on the background. We're almost done. Okay. Oh, you know what I didn't do? I didn't do the highlight on the hat. Let's do that before we do the background. Okay, so I'm going to take my medium brush. I'm going to take the blue. Just blue, I think. We're just going to use blue. And I'm going to put a line right across where the hat meets the brim. And then we're going to put a little bit going down on the edge here, but don't fill it in, just make it sort of fade into the black a little. And on this side, there's a little bit of a white, so just dip your brush in the white a little bit, add it to what's on your brush, and we're going to put that right here, just a little bit brighter right there. Oh, I put a little too much there. We're going to touch that up with black. That's okay. We can do that. Now, clean my brush off.
We have the technology.
I'm going to go straight blue again. Put it right up the side of the hat. Just the left side. Okay, now I'm going to take some of my black. I'm going to touch this up down here because I put way too much. It should really only be like close to the top. That's what's great about painting. You can always fix your mistakes. I'm going to clean my brush off. I'm just going to drag that white down using my damp brush. Maybe add a little bit more. Ooh, how did I get pink on there? Somehow I got hot pink. And I smeared his eyeball. Ah! Yes, it happens to the best of us. All right, I'm going to drag that white down just a little into the black that I just put on. Because you want it to blend. The best way to blend is to use both colors have to be wet paint. I don't know what that was. All right. So while I'm here with my black, I'm going to touch up the eye I just smudged. Oy vey. Can't believe I just did that. There we go. He looks better now. I fixed it. Okay, so I touched up the hat, gave him highlights on his hat. Does everyone see that? Okay, I'm just touching up like spots where white is shining through on my canvas. So if you see anything like that, you can touch it up. Now, I'm going to put my moon in the painting. Actually, you know what? I'm looking at it right now, and I like the highlight on the brim, but it looks like he needs something on his hat too. So I'm going to add my highlight on the hat as well. So come in from the edge a little bit and just do a line straight down and then go across like this. Just so he has a little bit of a shine on his hat. That looks better already. All right, I'm going to clean my brush off, dry it off, use the damp brush, and drag that edge across into the blue a little bit more so it's just a little bit more blended. You don't want it to be too much of a hard line there. There we go. That looks better. I like it better with the shine. I'm going to put a little bit more black where that crease where the brim meets the hat is, just so there's a nice delineation there. All right, I'm going to put a little bit more black around the edge here because I want it to look like the hat is separate from the sky. There we go, that's better. All right. I'm going to clean my brush off and I'm going to put the moon in. So I'm going to use the white paint.
Is this going to be a moon over my hammy?
All right, I'm using the white paint on my medium brush and I'm going to put in a crescent moon. You can make your moon any way you like. You can make it tiny, you can make it huge. You can do no moon.
A big harvest moon.
You can do a big harvest moon. You can make it realistic. You can make it more like folk art like I'm doing. It's your choice. It's your painting and your choice. Awesome.
That's no moon. That's a space station.
And I'm going to put some stars in, so I'm going to use my little brush, white paint. And since I went with the folk art moon, I'm going to do folk art stars, just because I think it'll kind of look cool. So I'm going to do actual star shapes, but you can also just do dots. You can do whatever you like in your painting.
Well, it's Boston, the painter of dark folk art.
Some kitty cats in witch hats.
It's that time of year.
Alright, and I'm going to do the rest as dots. So I'm going to have stars and dots.
Put a Sputnik star or 3 in there.
Yeah, good.
It's fine, don't worry about that.
Sputnik star is like, it's the one that goes like this, where it has the line, like that.
Mm.
Very 60s. Very, Bewitched.
Yeah, there you go.
Cool. All right. I think the sky makes it. I definitely
Just about
think.
on time.
I love it. I love this painting. I didn't think I was going to like it so much because it's a witch hat. I don't know why I don't like witch hats, but it's pretty cute. All right, don't forget to sign your name. So I take my little tiny brush. I'm actually going to sign with my...
We have a viewer, finally.
I'm going to sign with my tangerine paint. I'm going to use a little bit of white in it so it'll show up. And need a little more yellow in it. I don't want it to be pink. So I'm putting pink, yellow, and white to get this tangerine color. Add a little water into it so it's like nice and loose, not too sticky. It's hard to sign with sticky paint. Use your tiny little brush. Don't press down too hard. You want to use the very tip of your brush and don't press down too hard. If you press down, it flattens the brush out and it makes the signature way too wide. I'm just going to sign mine right down here.
And they left.
It's okay. Signing with paint takes a little bit longer than using a pen, but I highly recommend signing a painting with paint and not a paint marker because it will last longer and it won't fade. It won't cause the canvas to break down with any oil in the paint marker. It's more authentic with the paint. It's more traditional with the paint. And it's not that hard to do if you practice a little bit. So you can even sit down with your paintbrush and a piece of paper and just practice for a little bit so you get the hang of it. And it's perfectly fine to go back and touch it up like I'm doing. It's not going to happen on the very first swipe. You're not going to have a perfect signature. I mean, I guess sometimes you get lucky and that happens, but it's normal to go back and touch it up a little. there we go. So there's my signature. There's my painting. I like it. I Liz Boston-ified this photo because the photo is not my style. The painting is very much my style. So here's my finished product. Your painting will look like your style. So it's going to look different than mine a little bit, but it will definitely look like your style painting. That's the beauty of painting. Everyone's is different. Everyone's is unique. And it's a lot of fun to sort of see how everyone comes out with different aspects and ideas. And it's just all so fun to see all the different versions that are out there. So if you painted this painting with me, please post it in the group or post it on my Liz Boston Facebook page. I'd love to see how yours came out.